Hey guys, how you going? It's your boy MKS here. Back with you with part three of my goals for today and the future on a very bright and lovely day outside. Actually, I probably should go for a walk, although my feet are a bit sore. So, um, anywho, they're getting better. So hopefully they'll be better soon. That's something to look forward to. Obviously, that's not much of a goal because it's not usually something I can control. But anyway, I hope everyone's well out there, and I'd love to have your comments as ever, like how has coronavirus affected you and that sort of thing. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people are going to be laid off, and if they're not already been laid off, so I do have some sympathy with. Um, I mean, for me, it doesn't feel that different because I'm normally quite reclusive, to be absolutely honest. Excuse me, which is quite strange that I'm making YouTube videos, which are talking to other people, but when I'm quite reclusive. But it's probably my way of socialising without having to go out much. But I do try and get along with people, obviously, and all that. Well, obviously, but when I go to the library normally to use the PC, but I can't make videos obviously. But I talked to some people there and made a few friends. But normally I'm quite reclusive. Anyway, so it hasn't really affected me hugely. But the only thing is, I obviously from a point of view of looking at other people who are going to be laid off or something like that, and wondering about the economy, or wondering about the economy and how are people going to get by, and having some sympathy and empathy for other people. That has kind of affected me. And I also think that people paying council tax, like including my own family, like I've been out of work for quite a while, so it hasn't really affected me that much. But for other people, I think it's not fair for them to pay council tax for services they can't use. So maybe that's one of the things I'll come towards lobbying for. But anyway, I'm going to try and get on with the list because I don't want the video to be too long. I know I always say that. I'm going to try and not repeat myself, like saying obviously and all that, obviously. But here goes. As ever, I'd love to hear your comments. Number 21, I hope to think of any ideas I had in the past and look at how I can perhaps go back to them, remember them, and put them into practice. And yes, unfinished business, I put it, like ideas I've come up with or projects or plans that I haven't really worked on, and trying to work on them and talk about my bucket list and all that. And I think like people should lobby governments and whatnot that to make a rule or to make a law where if you can't use a service for no fault of your own, that you don't have to pay for it, if you know what I mean. Because like I think if you're not going to be able to use the roads and the schools, or not going to be able to use them as much, roads, you can probably use them a little bit, but parks and schools, places like that are being closed. So I think it's unfair to expect people to pay for it. And also the people who pay a lot of tax, I think if you look at proportion of income, a lot of poorer people pay a lot of tax. So if you care about the poor, I think them getting that money back, or like getting it backdated, or having some relief on it at least. As I say, even backdated some of the council tax they might have had to pay, or things like that. I think it would kind of be fair to help them out, especially people who might either have their hours cut or lose their jobs. So I think that people should lobby for that. 22, again, hope to do my bucket, think of my bucket list and talk about places I'd like to see and go to, who I'd like to help, and all that sort of stuff. And look at what I can change, how I can improve myself, and keep myself active and not be, if you like, lazy or not waste time, hopefully, and that sort of thing. Number 23, I hope to I'd love to be able to set up like NGOs. I know I've never had an experience of setting up an NGO, but I'd love to have it set up an NGO or work with other people, like connect together different charities, philanthropists, and NGOs who, like Friends of Africa, for instance, which want to see Africa do well in areas like in like science, tech, engineering, and maths, like STEM, and similar sort of things for Asia as well. And sort of bringing these charities together and seeing what we can create and what we can do, and how we can ensure that the people we want to help are actually being helped. And I also have the goal of supporting, if I can, the 10% poorest people in every possible country, or the most disadvantaged people, and things like that. Which I said before, like it goes to the biblical principle of what you do to the lowest amongst you, you do to me, and that sort of thing. So I suppose that probably influenced my ideas a little bit. If I didn't believe in God, I don't know whether I would have had the same goals or not. Maybe I would have, but it's hard to say without a crystal ball. 24, I hope to promote Pan-Asianism and Pan-Africanism and more closer union between Africa and Asia, and in fact, what I call the 4 indigenous people from the place I've talked about before. If you want to know what the 4 is and you haven't seen my other videos, please either check them out or ask in the comment section. I'll answer when I can. That's a promise. But yeah, what I call the 4 to network together generally, and people of colour generally as well. But and also to support Asian political ideals and African political ideals as well. 25, and also democracy. Sorry, 25. As I've talked before about, I love to support republics around the world and promote the idea of republicanism. I think it's quite difficult because if you look at someone from the UK who might be pro-republic and might even want to see Britain being a republic, but they might still be patriotic in other areas, perhaps, potentially. And I suppose the only way you can, probably the best way at least, to support republics is to buy from republics or support them financially or economically. So I'm not sure if many people from the UK who are, even if they are Republican, would be willing to do that or prepared to. I'm not sure, but I'd love to buy products from Asia and Africa and places like that, especially republics, but not solely republics, but also countries that were colonized and things like that, or invaded. 26, again, I generally wish to promote anti-imperialism. Again, once again, sorry for repeating a lot of these points because, excuse me, certain numbers remind me of certain things, and that's why it's difficult to break out that habit. So I do try, I promise. But so yeah, I dream to support projects like Tech Republic Africa and just generally training for African technology. I generally wish to support, and again, maybe I'll come up with a list of 30 projects I would love to support. I think I already have included like 30. I wrote them down in one of my videos, like in the comment section, about 30 areas where they could be empowered. And I wish to support Asia and Africa in the same areas like science, engineering, learning English or language, how they can communicate and trade with the world, engineering projects, maths, and all sorts of areas, except for I wish to support African, Indigenous Australasians more in technology. And that, other than that, it's pretty much the same. Yeah, so as I say, I wish to support them in the same sort of areas like YouTubers, tourism, and all sorts of other areas where they can hopefully monetize. And I wonder if African YouTubers and Asian YouTubers can make more, can benefit their economies if they get enough views. And again, if they support each other, that could be a way to financially empower their economy. Although I know you need a lot of views and not many people make a huge amount of money on YouTube, but it could be a way potentially. But again, as ever, I'd love to know what you think and hear from anti-imperialists and also probably people who might be pro-imperialist or colonizers or whatever, or pro-empire. So I hear both sides of the argument, both sides of the story. As ever, all comments welcome. I hope they'll be polite, but even if they are not polite, I won't delete any comments because I won't personally anyway, because I think it's freedom of speech and things like that, which I also, it's another thing I hope to encourage politically. So again, I wish to talk about my political dreams and goals, such as encouraging freedom of speech, libertarianism, and things like that. 27, again, I hope to thank sponsors, and in the future, maybe if people sponsor projects or have a list of the top contributors to Africa or Asia, or both, or republics, or to improving relations between Africa and Asia, or encouraging Pan-Asianism, encouraging Pan-Africanism, and bringing those like Asian nations together with each other and African nations together with each other, and then also with each other's continents. I hope that makes sense. 28, I hope to look at how to turn negatives into positives, that sort of thing. 29, I dream to encourage as many people as possible to support Asia, especially P.O.C, people of colour, for Asia. Again, that's another network or group I'd love to create, P.O.C for Asia. Mixed race people for United for Asia and things like that. So, and MKS for Asia, MKS being my initials. So these will be projects that look to support Asia and again the rest of the what I call the four. Sorry if I was waffling. I hope that made sense. I've probably got a lot more goals than that, but that's pretty much many of my goals in life, like to get as many subscribers as possible, as much support as possible, to grow my channel as much as possible, hopefully to entertain people and make the world a better place, and hopefully to spread joy and things like that. So I think that covers most of them anyway. Love to know what you think, or any comments, always welcome. Peace and love.